What's going on, everybody? Well, it's a very nice day. Hope your day is going just fine. It is car wash day. I'm gonna also go around, review a couple of vehicles here and there, and let's get started with today's video. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This is the first electric vehicle I have ever reviewed on this channel. So behold, the Subaru Solterra in this crimson red. But look at that. Even though I'm not a big fan of electric vehicles, I do have utmost respect for it. But this, like I said, this is the very first EV I've ever reviewed. So, back a couple years ago, Subaru just first announced that we're gonna go full electric, and starting the first concept of the EV. So Subaru made their own, the Subaru Solterra EV, and also it's a rebadged Toyota BZ4X. But just rebadges the Subaru Solterra. But I do love the rims. I love the color, and yeah. So obviously you're not gonna have a front grille because, like I said, it's an EV. But you do have a vent, a physical vent for air to come through and cool the batteries and cool the motor. You have a fog lamp. You got sensors. You got this really iconic Subaru badge, the Constellation here and there. You got the very perfect high resolution front view camera here on the BZ, or sorry, the Solterra. Always get those confused because they're the exact same. But like I said, but I do like the chrome trim below the grille. I do like this aerodynamic feature for air to go through. And yeah, like I said, yeah. And here's where the plug-in door goes to. So you can plug in the outlet. So like I said, so let's go to the actual sticker to the panel. So right now retail price is $45,357. 102 miles to the gallon, fuel economy. You save $5,500 in fuel costs over 5 years. You have 102 mpg's, 111 in the city, 93 on the highway, 33 kilowatt per hour for 100 miles. Like I said, this includes with the tariffs and all that stuff, but right now we're looking at $45,357 for the Subaru Solterra. Very futuristic-y, very integrated. You do have, like I said, your standard touchscreen, but not integrated as the normal Subarus. You just have just an iPad almost. And then this is your gear selector in the middle. It's not one of those like those little invisible buttons that those little sensors like Tesla has, but it's a gear selector as it for an eCVT. Wait, no, the eCVT is for the hybrids, but it's an electric vehicle gear selector. You have a very fancy different steering wheel here and there. You got the flat bottom steering wheel, kind of almost like a circle, but not a perfect circle, because you got the round, like not the rounded, but you have a flat. And you still have physical stalks here and there. Most EVs don't have stalks. They have it all integrated in the buttons with the touchscreens. But it's all included with stalks here and there. Beautiful cup holders. I wish I could get into it, but I can't. And also, you do have a lot of good trunk room in the back for all your equipments, all your, crossbars if you want to add something on top. Like I said, on the way back, you still have that beautiful Subaru Constellation. And you got the Solterra Limited EV badging. That's silver badging, but you have the EV with the blue outline around them. No exhaust ports. Like I said, this is an electric vehicle. And I do love the taillights come together. Nice piano black right across. And like I said, you still have these little Thomas Edison light bulbs. But I do like the features of the taillights. And you have these little reflector lights on the plastic bumper. But I do like this gloss black on here too. It really comes together. The wheels, beautiful chrome Let's see, how many inches is this? This is a 19-inch wheel, 235s, 50 R20 100V tubeless tires. Yeah, so like I said, this is like a 19 or 18-inch, and they're wrapped in Bridgestone tires. So yeah. So you just watched a video about my first review on the first Subaru electric vehicle, known as the Subaru Solterra. And kind of what I've been thinking about, and also a reflection of the past 2 years since I ever first started doing car videos here on this channel, because it wasn't always like that. It was always like podcasting, some music stuff, and lots of other things. And then when I got to like car-centered videos, and I kind of like had some opinions about certain vehicles, just seeing them basically on the road and all that stuff, and then seeing them on the news and lots of other things. In my opinions, my biases have been a little bit negative towards EVs. And yes, in my opinion, I still think that way. I'm not a big fan of electric vehicles or any same shape or form or anything. I mean, but I do have respect going forth from the last 2 years. And like I said, I have respect for EV manufacturers, but it's just sometimes they cut corners here and there. That's kind of what also I've been ranting about early on. Like, well, there are some companies that have been cutting corners, especially safety regulations and cutting corners physically inside of their vehicles. And basically a lot of recalls are happening, lots of other safety features that are deemed unsafe, and what leading to recalls according to the NHTSA and lots of other things. And my opinions on all of that stuff, like I said, it's still kind of biased, because like I said, they all have their own flaws. Basically safety, because it's due to lots of cutting corners made by auto manufacturers, especially like General Motors. Yes, General Motors still cuts corners. Ford, on the other hand, they still cut corners. Tesla, they still kind of cut corners. But like I said, there's some things I do respect owning a Chevrolet Aveo from General Motors early on, but that's kind of where they started taking a decline in their just decline in basically in just their their quality control is just not there. And like I said, quality control has their ups and downs based on things, but you still see lots of recalls due to manufacturing and the quality control still. And it's kind of what I'm kind of biased about that, especially with researching how EV productions are made, how mining all that lithium can cause a lot of issues to our environment and all that stuff. Like I said, I still have opinions and biases over that too. I still think that lithium and what it releases and all that stuff is very dirty than internal combustion vehicles and all the stuff. But I'm not saying that we should stop doing electric vehicles because of all that stuff. Yes, there's a lot of alternatives than using lithium and how we're charging batteries and here and there. I've seen lots of videos of EV road trips, and most of them have been very successful. Yes, you have to stop and charge a lot, and more than a gas car, because like I said, it only takes a couple minutes, but an EV it only takes about like an hour at least for a Tesla even. And there's some superchargers, you can find those pretty much anywhere that does have EV chargers, and most of them are pretty fast. But like I said, they at least take about an hour to supply you with electricity for your vehicle. And that's why most people have alternatives by just plugging it into their houses and plugging it into the vehicles and then leaving them overnight until it gets like to 90, take them out or disable something so it doesn't keep charging and it keeps overpowering the battery and all that stuff. But there's a lot of ways, but like I said, there's some alternatives here and there. And like I said, that's just a difference in the future of what's going on with EVs. And yes, I'm not saying back then it's like EVs are the future. I said like EVs are not the future back then, but in my opinion, my biased opinion, sorry about the stuttering and rambling, but my biased opinion about EVs, yes, am I saying that EVs are not the future? Yes, EVs are going to be the future, but it's just finding ways that people, you can buy whatever you want, basically. That's what I'm just saying. Like I said, you can either buy internal combustion, you can buy an EV, it's all up to you. I mean, yes, with prices being high still, I'm not going to get into that stuff with the whole tariffs thing. Yes, if you look at the window sticker that I mentioned about that, the Solterra is about $45,137. And you see that on the stickers, 70%, yes, it's made in Japan. There's 30% that's made in China, and there's other things because most of the batteries are basically made in China. But I'm not gonna get into any of that stuff with the whole tariffs thing and all that stuff. But I do wish putting all that stuff, making them here in the United States. But we have stuff from Japan, like Subarus, Toyotas, Hondas, and Toyota has been a big pioneer, especially with hybrid systems too, with motors, the batteries, and all that stuff. And my opinion is, I like hybrids better than electric vehicles. Don't get me wrong. I would own a hybrid one day. I'm researching hybrids right at the moment. Probably just trading the white Impreza for one, or I'm just gonna get the RS Impreza. But like I said, it's my opinion, a biased opinion, what kind of reflection from the last 2 years. And like I said, it may change as time goes on, as I kind of get further into researching more car related stuff and making videos about reviews of vehicles, and not just internal combustion, but I want to do like hybrids and EVs, and I want to do other things and kind of researching those. I want to actually review some Teslas one day. I want to actually get behind the wheel of an electric vehicle and see how the feels of it. But I just want to do like a quick walk around of the Solterra, kind of just doing my first EV review because I've never done one in the history of this channel. So that's kind of why I want to make this video and kind of explain my biased opinions at the very end of this video. But anyway, like I said, that's enough rambling for today. Thank you guys so much for coming online to this video. Share this video with a friend. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are brand new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.